Texas, the Omertosa, which is actually kind of a funny name because Texas probably is how you would pronounce. But seeing Texas in Omertosa together in one sentence is not something I ever would have seen in my entire life. Of course, the Omerta, just so you know, is a Southern Italian code of silence and a code of honor and conduct that places importance on silence in the face of questioning by authorities or outsiders, non-cooperation with authorities, the government, or outsiders, especially during criminal investigations, and willfully ignoring and generally avoiding interference with the illegal activities of others. Basically, don't be a snitch and don't rat out your family. And so I'm really curious to hear this and listen to it and kind of talk a little bit about it. I've heard that there's Italian dub, so I'm really excited. Let's check it out.
Purtroppo è così. Nessuno può sfuggire al proprio passato.
Oh my God. This is like the quintessential Italian voiceover. Purtroppo è così. Nessuno può sfuggire al proprio passato. It's got that like really warm quality that you hear in like classic Italian movies from the 40s and 50s, which is so fascinating.
Neppure la mia famiglia.
Oh, and this is a straight up Godfather reference if you do a side-by-side of The Godfather.
Un tempo eravamo potenti. Avevamo il controllo su qualsiasi cosa.
So this is really interesting to me, and I'm kind of wondering if Texas, this is interesting. I'm wondering if Texas isn't going to actually leave behind the family and focus on something else, because un tempo eravamo potenti, avevamo il controllo su qualsiasi cosa. Once upon a time, we were incredibly strong. We had control over whatever thing, everything basically. And the saxophone too, it's very like intriguey. You hear this?
Ma non è rimasto nulla. La pioggia ha spazzato via tutto.
And I think there too, like, there's a quality there that gives us this feeling of things aren't what they appear to be.
È il codice d'onore dettato da Signora Sicilia. E questo è il prezzo per averlo violato.
Do you hear on the music, there's actually a lot of open air and open space. This is what I would call ambient music, but it's actually setting a scene. It's like a base layer for us so that we are informed of some of the treachery that's actually occurring underneath the surface of this. This is not so in your face. This is very much like we see the cracking. So everything's falling apart. And now the question is, what's Texas's role in all of this? Is she the one doing the breaking up and the destroying inside? Or is she the one that's staying silent?
Anche se non siamo più a Siracusa. Anche se ci piace pensare di aver abbandonato le nostre vecchie identità.
So actually, I think that that saxophone's really intriguing because it alludes to, no, don't forget who you were. You haven't forgotten who you were. It's actually more feels like now I'm listening to it, Texas is actually going to reconfigure with the family and maybe bring the family back together. Unclear.
Anche se abbiamo fatto tutto il possibile per evitarlo. Ci troverà sempre. Non c'è via di fuga. Il nostro sangue appartiene qui. Questo è l'unico posto dove dovrebbe scorrere.
I love that. So we have this moment with the fire, and Texas is looking at the camera, walking towards us. Il nostro sangue appartiene qui. Questo è l'unico posto dove dovrebbe scorrere. It's like, our blood belongs here. This is the only place where it should run. And to me, that is suggestive of, how dare you spill our blood elsewhere? It belongs in Syracuse. It belongs here in the family. And there's this immense feeling to me that we're going to be, I don't know, we're pushing past the family ties.
Fattene una ragione. Sei ancora una siracusana.
Okay, I've made comments about this in the past and people are like, whoa, but the truth is, I'm out of focus. The truth is, silence is incredibly effective, especially for something like this. Sei ancora. Cut. Caesura. Caesura means don't do anything. Una siracusana. And then in that space, we have the voiceover. It's incredibly effective, right? Because all of a sudden it's like, emphasis, silence. You're still a siracusana. Not like some crazy music. No. This is nothing. Stillness. Una siracusana. Oh, this really is like some sort of like Godfather-like stuff, because this is the same font as the Mario Puzo novel. Cerinia, Texas. Interesting. That was really cool. I don't know anything about Il Siracusano, and it seems to me like we're really going with this mobster thing. I have some interesting feelings about that, because I look at something like The Godfather, which seems to be heavily influenced off of. And The Godfather was both a wonderful thing for Italian-American culture, and also at times a damaging thing for Italian-American culture. And what do I mean by that? There was a period of time, obviously in the United States, we've got mobsters like Al Capone and a bunch of others in Chicago. And the mafia was a real thing, and is a real thing. And I think that things like this can be hit or miss. I think on the one hand, we can have a sense of pride because, look, we're doing Italian voiceover, and there's an Italian 30s, 40s noir thing that's existing, that it was real. On the other hand, does it continue to propel a stereotype forward of what Italian Americans are? And I have an interesting perspective on this because I was raised by immigrants. I am American, but I'm also Italian. And in the United States, I feel that I'm Italian. And in Italy, I would consider myself an Italian American. And I would say that most people would agree with that statement. So it's a really interesting perspective. And I'm really curious to see how this expansion or patch plays out, because there's a lot of curious music in here. I was hoping for a little bit more classical music, a little bit more opera-based music. Now, I understand that we've had the Lingering Echoes patch, which did have quite a bit of opera, but I would like to see a little bit more of that Italian culture thrust forward, because Italian culture has done so much for music and the arts, and especially over the course of history. Of course, Italy is the home of opera, and it would be really nice to see some of that integrated into Il Siracusano, rather than just this mafia mob thing, which is totally okay, and I'm sure will be very, very interesting, and I'm sure very respectful to like Italian culture. However, yeah, that's just something that I noticed that I would have liked to see more of, and I don't know if that will appear later in this patch or something, but it's something to think about. As always, thanks a ton, Arknights fans, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.